We've got a bunch of stuff to talk about on the Goggler podcast. We're going to be reviewing the new Gore Verbinski movie, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. One of our favorite TV shows is back for a fourth season on Netflix, The Lincoln Lawyer. But before we get into that, there is a discussion to be had about a documentary that's currently streaming on Netflix. It's called The Investigation of Lucy Letby. You would have heard this story because it was global news. And Lucy Letby was an NHS nurse in the UK who was convicted of murdering 8 babies and attempted murder of another 10, I believe. She is considered to be one of the most notorious child serial killers in modern history. This is a documentary about that investigation, about what happened to her, and about whether or not they may have got it wrong and put the wrong person in prison. You can follow the story. There have been dozens and dozens of articles that have been written about it, and it is a very interesting story in its own right. That said, this documentary on Netflix is the kind of sensationalist journalism. I don't even want to call it journalism. It's the kind of sensationalist filmmaking that doesn't do this subject matter any good. Like, I think this subject requires a more serious consideration. And I have a problem with this, Bahe, because I have a problem with all of these channels, not just Netflix. In the US, you've got Hulu doing it, HBO doing it. Like, everyone, whenever there is some major true crime type story, within minutes will have a documentary out, which I think undermines the definition of what a documentary is, because all they really do is aggregate what's out there and kind of create a summary of what happened for you. Now, admittedly, the investigation of Lucy Letby does more than that, because there's unseen footage of police interviews, etc., etc. But at the same time, it just feels a little too soon, not very journalistic, and very, very sensationalist. But that isn't the problem that we have with this documentary. Because, take it away, Bahe. What do they do here? What do they do? What did they do?
As the case with most of these documentaries, they have these talking heads. Now, the talking head subjects are the police investigators, some expert witnesses, and in a really sort of daring attempt to bring unnecessary emotional heft, they spoke to one of the parents of one of the baby victims, the child victims. They also spoke to Lucy Letby's, I would say, I don't know about her best friend, but
I think best friend from university.
Best friend from university, yes, I think that's a good way of describing it. Now, the problem here is, in an attempt to preserve anonymity, they have essentially Gen AI'd the talking heads of the parent and Lucy Letby's best friend, which is strange. And the problem is, I think it does the documentary no favors. By doing that, and I will be honest, the documentary was very upfront about it. Before the film even starts, there's a disclaimer up top about how they had used or are using artificial intelligence imagery to provide anonymity to these two persons. And when the talking heads are on screen, there is a little disclaimer in the top corner talking about how the images have been digitally enhanced to preserve anonymity. Again, my issue with this is that you and I were having a conversation as we were watching this. Those digital faces pulled us out of the documentary immediately.
It's creepy as fuck, dude.
But it's also bad.
Oh, it's so bad. Like, the lip sync is weird. Like, when we talk, our lips touch each other. There is a physicality to it.
Yes.
Their lips don't touch. The hair doesn't move. This is a grieving mother. And yet, an animated AI version of her will suck any emotion out of her voice. It does it a real disservice. Now, documentaries have been doing this for decades. I don't think it's undermined anonymity at all. They speak to people in shadow, they pixelate their faces, they use voice alteration, blurring, all sorts of techniques have been used and they work fine.
Not only do they work fine, it is what the audience expects. So when it comes on screen, we are, as an audience member, accustomed to it. So we know when the person in shadow is crying, we know why they're crying. However, when I see pixels falling down a pixel cheek, I am immediately out of it. If it was good, is one thing, but this was bad.
This was beyond the uncanny valley.
Like, a lot of it reminded me of those Samsung AI filters, the skin smoothening thing.
Yes.
That's what it felt like. I was watching quite a bit of this on my phone because I had to drive out to a screening, and no, I wasn't watching it while I was driving. I had stopped. I was having my breakfast in the car and I was watching it on my phone. I will be honest, on the phone, not so bad.
So I did a little experiment. Whenever the mother came on, I looked away. And honestly, this would have worked as a podcast.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It would have worked much better as a podcast.
Yes.
And I think it really undermines the subject matter of what they're doing. And I think that's what I found incredibly jarring and incredibly insulting, given that this is a story about babies being murdered. And yet you have this. Like, maybe don't experiment on this.
Experiment on the
On the
upcoming
poop
FIFA
cruise
World
thing.
Cup. Oh, the poop cruise, right? Just do it on something silly. If those people didn't need to preserve anonymity, that's fine. Just do it there anyway. You know? I was in when the police were talking. I was in when they're showing the never before seen footage of
Correct.
Lucy Letby being taken away from her bed. And like, she was distraught. She was broken.
It felt like a scene out of Adolescence.
Yeah, the last thing she does before she leaves the house, she asks the police officers if she can just wish her cat goodbye. And I was completely broken. I was like, oh man, that is so sad. And then the special investigators come on, and then the expert witnesses come on and talk about embolisms and air in baby breathing tubes. And I'm like, oh shit, that is serious. And then boom, this digital person comes on screen. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? I'm immediately out. I'm immediately yanked out of that thing. And it's the worst.
The mother is trying to say something deeply emotional, and the face is not conveying that emotion, and it's bad. Like, I feel like even someone in shadow, there's more of an impact because they're in shadow and you can't see the face. But this one, the rendering of the face is jarring. And so you stop paying attention to what she's saying and how she's saying it, and it's awful. Like, this is bad form, Netflix. Like, of all of the things you could have done a documentary on and used generative AI, this is probably the worst possible thing.
I will be honest, I don't know if I would put this on the feet of Netflix only because of the way these things are made, right?
Right.
It could have been made beforehand and then sold to Netflix. The people who did this, I would just be like, this is really strange. This is really, really weird decisions to make for this particular topic.
Yet again, I think this shouldn't be a precedent. Like, I feel like we're missing the point of the purpose of documentaries. And I think we need to go back to the roots of what documentaries are. And this sort of sensationalist storytelling, and I think the scary role that generative AI can play when it comes to this sort of storytelling in documentaries, like, it's bad enough in fiction, but I think in documentaries, it's a slippery, slippery slope. I don't like the precedent this sets, but, you know, if it's just a one-off experiment and then they decide, yeah, we're not ready yet, we're not there, maybe a few years before we try this again.
There's a wider discussion to be had with regards to the use of AI in these things because look, I edit videos, I use AI all the time, but the way I use AI in my process is to write up the subtitles in the videos, right? I then go in and fix it, but sure, first pass is AI. I've used AI to sort of fix music and stuff, but Again, my thing is that that's used as a tool. It doesn't replace what is happening.
Yes, of course.
Here, it is used as the final result coming out. And I think that's kind of the problem. I have a problem with it. It also betrays your film. This use of AI to, in air quotes, preserve anonymity of these subjects ruins your documentary.
I agree.
Yeah.
And undermines any emotion that the documentary is trying to convey.
Yeah. So that was strange.
The documentary is called The Investigation of Lucy Letby, and it is now streaming on Netflix. Let us know if you can sit through it, because if we weren't doing this, I don't think I could have. There were many moments when I was like, oh my god, I'm out. This is awful. Speaking of Netflix, there is some good stuff though. Every year, Bahir and I wait patiently for the next season of The Lincoln Lawyer, which is based on a series of novels by Michael Connelly. It was also a movie starring Matthew McConaughey, but the TV series is far superior to the film. Every season is inspired by a novel, and it pretty much covers a single novel with occasional additions here and there. Sometimes they merge stuff, etc., etc. It's been known to happen. They've done it in Bosch, they've done it in Reacher, and it is a popular format. But I think the thing we love most about The Lincoln Lawyer, there are two things really. One, it feels like a real throwback to network television style storytelling. And two, all of these characters are drawn so well. And over these 4 seasons, I think we've grown to really like all of them as individuals and their quirks and their respective stories. And I think that's what makes this such a watchable, bingeable show. I'm always looking forward to the next season, and there is always a great tension and legal dramatics and all of this stuff. It's just really great old school television, which they don't make anymore, or it's becoming increasingly rare.
The big thing I like about this interpretation or this new version of what a serialized TV drama is that it feels both familiar and modern. It feels like a new version of an LA Law or a NYPD Blue type show, right?
Right.
Like, as much as I love Cross and Cross and Prime Video out now, Cross still feels like an old style police show.
Yes.
Reacher still feels like an old style TV show. The way it's told, the way it's paced, and I love both those shows, but they feel familiar. They feel almost like a throwback to those old shows. Lincoln Lawyer feels both familiar but new. And I think part of that, which I found most interesting, is the fact that the way the episodes are told, or the way the episodes are broken down, the way the episode arcs are broken down. In most shows of this nature, you can feel, feels the wrong word. The 3 acts of the TV show are very formulaic.
Yes.
Introduction of problem, our protagonist gets into a bind and solves it in the 3rd act, right? However, in The Lincoln Lawyer, that sort of shifts forward a little bit in that the introduction of the problem happens at the end of the previous episode, and the resolution happens at the middle of the following episode. So the arcs of the story don't match up with the episodes. And I thought that makes for an interesting thing, because in this day of streaming and binge watching, you're going to put on the next episode. So when what you've been trained in your many years of TV watching teaches you to expect the end at the end of an episode and it doesn't happen, you want to keep watching.
Yeah.
Because as the episode's ending, they're introducing a new thing, a new development in the case, a new character pops in. Something happens which causes each episode to be a cliffhanger, leading you on to the next one constantly. And that, I think, is a really interesting storytelling form that Lincoln Lawyer has done.
The other thing that they've done really well over these 4 seasons are their B and C plots involving the other characters. Because all of these characters have grown significantly from where we saw them in season 1. And it's the same with the way Bill Lawrence does Shrinking, or Scrubs, or Ted Lasso, because it creates a real investment in these individuals and encourages you to keep watching.
Yes.
So in that sense, they tend to be quite dissimilar to the novels, because I think Michael Connelly, while there are some continuing plot lines, for the most part, the novels are standalone, because they want you to be able to pick up any Lincoln Lawyer novel at any time and still be able to get into it. And so the way they've adapted this series is actually quite fascinating, because while they're using the plots from the novel, they're actually using serialization techniques from television. And I think that's a great way to kind of merge things and create adaptations. So like Cross does something very differently. Cross actually tries to tell new stories based on the characters from the novel. And that's what Prime Video's Jack Ryan did as well.
Yes.
None of the seasons of Jack Ryan are actually based on any of the Clancy novels, except for the characters that we meet in those novels. So all of that's really cool. And I'm glad that they're using these new techniques, because I think they make for richer adaptations. Because if you're a fan of the Michael Connelly books, you're still going to get more stuff. Even though you've read this novel and you may know how the story plays out and you may know the twists, you're still going to get new stuff by watching the TV show. And that I think is very, very cool.
I think what the Lincoln Lawyer does as well is it really sort of, it's a familiar trope, right? Gruff lawyer, but knows the rules and knows the legal system almost better than the district attorneys, and picking up cases left, right, and center. And yet, at the same time, he isn't sleazy, he isn't skeezy. He is almost noble in his search for the truth, even if it is to defend a murderer, a criminal, a scam artist. And I think that makes him a very interesting character to watch on TV. It's almost like watching Don Draper. It's almost like watching Walter White, right? They're not the people you're supposed to be rooting for in real life, because these are not good people. But I think the way the Lincoln Lawyer is portrayed, yeah, he may bend the rules, but it's always for the greater good.
Yeah.
And I think season 4 is a culmination of that. It is the culmination of 3 prior seasons of him bending the law, of bending rules, and maybe all of that coming home to roost with the sheriff's office sort of being a little heavy-handed on him, and the district attorney wanting his head at all cost, And I like that. I like that all the shady stuff he's done, and again, none of them actually being illegal, but all of those things he's done in the first 3 seasons coming home to roost in season 4.
This season also ends on a pretty kick-ass cliffhanger, and I can't wait for season 5. It has been greenlit, so we know it's coming. And one of the best things about The Lincoln Lawyer, it's also very old school in that we get a season every year. They don't fuck about and wait 3 years for every season. They actually get into production and churn one out around the same time every year.
It's interesting because I think The Lincoln Lawyer is one of those shows that don't get enough attention.
It doesn't.
Even from Netflix. Netflix doesn't talk about this show. Like, this is an original Netflix production that has gone 4 seasons. Well, going into 5 seasons now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, every year we get some damn headline about Stranger Things. Oh, the cast have now hit puberty. Congratulations, everybody.
Another spin-off.
But it's not even that. Remember the pauses between seasons? We would get all these updates. It's like, oh, he's got long hair now. Look at him go. Stranger Things coming soon. Like, just give me the fucking show, right?
Yeah.
But here, The Lincoln Lawyer is, again, that it feels like that thing that Netflix takes for granted. They do these really good shows, but just because it doesn't get the tweets and the TikToks and the Instagram love,
Yeah.
they almost want to just ignore it. And I guess because it's David E. Kelly, Netflix almost just lets it go on autopilot because they know he's going to deliver something fantastic and they don't have to just hype it up. But I feel like I wish they would hype it up.
Same. I think more people need to be watching this.
The supporting cast are also fantastic.
Oh, everyone's great in the show.
Yeah, I love the fact that Neve Campbell's in this a lot in season 4.
Yes, she's cameoing for most of the first 3 seasons, but she has a proper substantial role in this one.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited for season 5. If you haven't seen it, we highly, highly recommend that you go and check out The Lincoln Lawyer. All 4 seasons are now streaming on Netflix. There is also a brand new, believe it or not, Gore Verbinski movie in cinemas right now. It's called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. It's his first movie in almost 10 years. His last movie was A Cure for Wellness, which didn't really perform very well, but he's finally out of director jail. And he's back with this sci-fi romp. Is the best description I have for this because it is absolutely fucking wild. It stars Sam Rockwell, Haley Lou Richardson, Michael Pena, Zazie Beetz, Asim Chowdhury, and Juno Temple. And essentially, Sam Rockwell plays a time traveler from the future who shows up at a diner trying to recruit the perfect team that can help him save the world from rogue AI. Very timely and very fucking zany. I'll say right off the bat, Bahe, this is better than almost all of the recent Black Mirror episodes I have seen.
Oh, hello. Good morning. I'm here now. I was watching this thing and I'm like, this feels like a really good Black Mirror episode.
Right?
And okay, so just to sort of ruin the fun a little bit, this team that Sam Rockwell's character pulls together, we sort of go back a little and find out their story about how they ended up at this diner. And I think each of those things feel like a very, very good Black Mirror episode.
Yes, they're like mini Black Mirror episodes.
Yeah, and then it culminates into this massive, mega Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is the 12th movie I've seen this year.
Okay.
This is the best movie I've seen this year.
I agree. It is so much fun.
It is so much fun. But also, like, it is not empty fun. Yeah, it is about AI and it's about ridiculousness and it's about seriousness, but it's really very well told. I was just completely on board from moment one of this thing. I was on board as soon as Gore Verbinski does a close-up on that Cholula hot sauce bottle. And I'm like, yeah, he's a man after my own heart. I'm there.
I think the Black Mirror comparison is a very apt one. And only because it takes on tech and the subject that Black Mirror was supposedly focused on, at least for the first 2.5 seasons before they kind of went down the horror route, etc., etc.
You mean when it became American?
When it became American, yes, correct.
Sure, go on, yes.
The thing I feel Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die does really, really well is that it leans into the zaniness. Like all of the ridiculous things, and it all makes sense at the end, but all of the ridiculous things that could happen in a show like this, and it is a madcap sci-fi adventure where not everything makes logical sense, even though it makes sense at the end. It is one of those movies that doesn't pull its punches. So when it's setting something up and building up towards something, when you reach the third act, that something happens. Like it doesn't cop out.
Something happens in one of the flashbacks and you go like, well, that's a little silly, or like, oh, that's a little obvious, or where are they going with this really obvious take on modern societal issues? And then at the end it comes back and you go, holy shit.
Yes.
Pay attention to the dialogue. There's something that happens, something appears in the third act, and Sam Rockwell says something that I thought just sold it all. My first thought when that thing shows up. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Where did this come from? And then Sam Rockwell's dialogue is almost a little under-delivered. The volume was a little soft, but you catch that line and that whole thing makes fucking sense.
It's very subtle, it's very nuanced. Yes, some stuff is very in your face, but it's delivered in such a comedic manner that it works. When Sam Rockwell enters Norm's, the diner, there is a phenomenal monologue that he delivers offhandedly. And it is brilliant. He is just traversing this diner as he's explaining who he is and why he's there and how he wants to recruit these people. And it's just dramatic and comedic and everything that Sam Rockwell does so well. Like every time I see him on screen, I feel you are the only person who can play this part. Like whether it's Confessions of a Dangerous Mind or Moon or White Lotus or this, it feels like it was written for him. He is so perfect in this.
There's a strange manic energy that comes with Sam Rockwell. And I think the good directors know how to tune that manic energy. Because when Sam Rockwell first shows up at that diner, you're not convinced he's not a crazy guy. You, the audience, are not convinced he's not a crazy guy. Because you haven't seen him warp into time. You haven't seen him jump into this time, right? He's just this crazy wet guy who walks into this diner and starts telling people off, jumping on plates and tables. And he's just like, who is this crazy guy?
I also really, really love the ending.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it's just a really cunning and clever way to do it because it still leaves you hopeful for the future. Especially in a movie that is so dark in its themes. Like there is a whole segment about school shootings that is really fucking clever, especially with regards to how parents deal with it. And it's just such a rebuke against America. Like it's such an obvious thing, but it's such a rebuke against America. It's like, you don't give a shit about your own children. Why should we?
That one is the perfect Black Mirror episode.
Yes.
That is the most perfect Black Mirror episode in this whole thing. Like the Michael Pena Zazie Beetz sort of backstory is a very obvious Black Mirror episode, but the Juno Temple one was just like, holy shit, this feels like Black Mirror. It feels like the best of Black Mirror. I love this movie so much.
I do. It's really good.
This feels like I can see this movie not delivering at the cinema.
Right.
But I also see this movie growing in cult status.
Oh, for sure.
This is, 12 Monkeys. To be fair, it's got a lot of 12 Monkeys vibes. But like, this feels like a 12 Monkeys thing. Like where it sort of shows up subsequently and people just fall in fucking love with it head over heels. And I'm really hoping it doesn't take that long because I'm torn. I don't know if I want a sequel. But if they can get the gang back together, I would want to see a sequel.
I would like them to go on another adventure together.
Another round, right? Like, but you have to have everybody. You have to have Michael Pena back, Zazie Beetz back, Asim Chowdhury back. Fuck, you must have Gore Verbinski back. And I think that's kind of the point.
I'm also really excited to have a Gore Verbinski movie in cinemas again. I think his body of work is fascinating because he did Mouse Hunt, the Nathan Lane movie. Which was a kid's adventure, right?
Yes, he did.
And then he did The Mexican with Julia Roberts and Brad Pitt. Completely different genre. And then he goes on to do The Ring.
Yes.
And then he does 3 Pirates of the Caribbean, the best 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yeah.
He does The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage.
Which is also just off left field again.
And then fucking Rango, which is great.
Yeah.
And so I like that he has such a varied oeuvre, but then to come back with something like this, which is such an old school, almost 90s sci-fi adventure, is great. And it really is a sci-fi adventure. It's them running through this neighborhood doing crazy stuff. And I didn't know what was going to happen next. And I was literally at the edge of my seat watching because I couldn't predict how it was going to play out. And I enjoyed that. It's been a long time. We see a lot of movies. A lot of the time we can predict what's going to happen.
But a lot of the time it's template it, right? This is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. Change the name of the characters, change the gender of the characters, but the basic storytelling beats and arcs are all there.
Yes.
Here, I had no idea what was happening. It was just 90 miles an hour right till the end.
Yeah.
And even at the end, he speeds up a little bit because now suddenly you're having to face all these things, right? There's a strange moment of realization at the end when Sam Rockwell's character, well, one of the other characters turns to Sam Rockwell and says, "Oh, that's the house? Why don't we just go there? Just go there now." And he goes, "I don't know what we're up against. The last time I was here, it was Navy SEALs. Before that, it was rabid dogs. Before that, it was just rats. So I don't know what we're about to face."
And I like that computer game element of it as well, where he's like, "Oh, I haven't been this far before." And I swear to God, we say that all the time, right? Like when we were kids playing video games, we're like, "I don't know what's going to happen next. I haven't been to this part before."
Yeah. And for me, is that random element almost makes me go, you really don't know what's happening next. You've done this so many times and you really don't know what comes next. It could be just a wall of rats that show up, or it could be Navy SEALs. We don't know. And that was, I love this movie.
And then the thing that shows up as well is really, really funny. But yeah.
And then the thing that shows up is just really, really cool. I wish, you know what I wish? This is easy for me to say now, but like, I wish that they did several versions of that bit of that attack on the house. Maybe it is rats. Maybe there are Navy. So like, you, depending on where you go, you get a different third act attack. That'd be cool.
No, man, I really love this movie. It was really fun. I wouldn't mind watching it again.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And everyone in it is so good. And I think that's part of it. Like everyone, side characters, apart from the obvious great actors like Michael Pena and Sam Rockwell and Zazie Beetz and Juno Temple, even the side characters are pretty fantastic. So go watch. Good luck. Have fun. Don't die. It's actually showing in Malaysian cinemas. We saw the trailer a couple of months ago, and we were genuinely shocked that it's coming to Malaysian cinemas. Go watch it. It is worth watching on the big screen. You will have an absolute blast. Whether or not you love Black Mirror, I think you will have an absolute blast. And it's also incredibly timely storytelling that will make you rethink how often you use TikTok. Go watch it. Let us know what you think. You know how to reach out. We're on Instagram @GogglerMY. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.